Hey guys, what's up? So let me ask you this. What happens when you try to lose weight without setting a goal? It's kind of like trying to save money without knowing what you're saving for. You throw in a little bit here and there, but you're kind of drifting and you have no direction. Hi, I'm Jules and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I have been on a GLP-1 weight loss journey now for 3 years. I lost 50 pounds. I started in 2022, September, hit my goal weight in May of 2023, and I have been maintaining 113 pounds for over 2.5 years at this point. For reference, I'm 5'1", 54 years old, married. I got 3 adult kids, 1 bonus younger child. And I am here sharing my story of weight loss, fitness, maintenance, nutrition, mindset, inspiration, motivation, the whole 9 yards, so that you know that you can also do this journey. I can do this at my age. You can absolutely do this whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, or beyond. Now, I want to talk to you about goals. I know the topic of goals can be controversial. Some people don't want to set a weight goal because of past diet trauma, body image struggles, or just fear of failure. And I get it. I've been there. I've totally been there myself. For years, I avoided numbers. I avoided the scale. I avoided counting. I avoided tracking. I just didn't want to face it. But the truth is, once I finally started setting goals, holding myself accountable to those goals, that is when everything changed for me. So today, I want to show you why having clear, healthy, flexible goals, and whether those are scale goals, body composition, fitness, lifestyle, whatever it is, those can completely change your journey. And I'm going to share exactly the framework that I have used to not only lose 50 pounds, gain muscle and strength, but maintain all of that for over 2.5 years. Number one, why do people or you avoid setting goals? Well, I know firsthand why people avoid setting goals because I used to do it. I was scared of failing again. If I didn't set a goal, I couldn't fail. I also felt very overwhelmed. When you're first starting out, if you have a lot of weight to lose, 50, 75, 100, 200 pounds or more, it can feel overwhelming. It can feel so impossible. And I also had a lot of diet trauma from years and years and years and decades of trying, failing, working out different programs, and it just made me feel like these goals were punishments. And honestly, I didn't trust myself anymore. I didn't trust my body at all. I felt broken. I felt like if I made a promise to myself, I couldn't trust that I could accomplish it. In certain other areas of my life, yes. But in this one area, I just couldn't figure it out. In the past, I just couldn't make it work. So if I hit a goal, if I even set one for losing weight or getting fitter or whatever, it just didn't stick. But here's the thing. Setting vague goals also didn't protect me. It just kept me stuck. And I see the same thing happening to so many of you out there. You avoid setting the goals because it feels like, okay, if I don't set a goal, I'm going to avoid the pain. But in the process, you're also avoiding progress. So I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever avoided setting goals because of fear of being overwhelmed or fear that you couldn't obtain it or it was too far out of reach? Drop it in the comments because you are definitely not alone. So this is why goals matter. Back in September of 2022, when well, it was actually prior to September, but it was in that springtime I started finally getting serious about things. And it was September that I got on a GLP-1. And I set a clear goal. And guess what? That target gave me direction every single day. I didn't wander around the kitchen. I didn't just tell myself, this is how I feel. I had a number in mind, and that number just pulled me forward. So think about it, just like money, right? If you don't know how much you need to save for retirement, you're just throwing random amounts out there. But if you're, for example, saving for a house down payment and you just never set a number of how much you need and you're just saving, some 5, 10, 15, 100, whatever it is here and there and everywhere, are you ever going to get to that 40, 50,000, whatever the number is that you need for that down payment? If you don't have a goal in mind, let's take driving as another analogy. If you don't know the destination of where you're driving, you're going to waste a lot of time and energy, and you'll become exasperated in the process of trying to get to your destination without having a clear direction. So for me, goals turned drifting in that gray area of just like wishy-washy into clear focus. It gave me a roadmap and it gave me proof of my progress. So different goals can be set. My journey was not just about the scale. So there are different goals that you can set. I'm going to go through those right now. Number 1, scale goal. 2 was body composition goal. 3, performance goals. And 4, lifestyle goals. So I'm going to go into an explanation of what all of that is. All right. Scale goals. I wanted to get back to my high school weight, which was around 120, 125 pounds. That was my goal number 1. And when I hit that, I said, I could probably push it a little bit further. What would it be like if I got to 110 pounds? What would my body look like at that point? And then I did. I hit that goal weight. I hit 110. I hit 109, 110. I've been cruising at around 113 now. And that's more of a change of body composition because I've put on muscle and I've actually leaned out a little bit more from where I hit my goal weight. There comes in now number 2, which is body composition, which is more important than scale weight. And I'm going to show you why. So what I decided to do after I hit my goal weight was to get a DEXA scan. The DEXA scan showed me that losing weight was just part of it, but building muscle lowered my body fat percentage. That became even more important. The number 3 were performance goals. So performance meaning one of my biggest goals was I wanted to be able to do pull-ups. I could barely do 1 pull-up when I started. Now I could do so many of them. And that was one of the goals that I had set for myself, and I broke it down into steps, and I started with that barely getting 1, and I just kind of built from there. These are the non-scale victories that I'm so proud of. And then number 4 were my lifestyle goals. So what does that mean? I do track my protein. I'm not a crazy nut over it. I know pretty much at this point how much I need to eat to hit, my protein. And I generally, so protein goals, if you don't know, should be about 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if I weigh 113 pounds, then my protein goal is around 113 grams of protein a day. If I hit 100, great. If I hit 120, that's great too. There are some days when I'll hit 140 and other days that I might hit 90. I'm in that range though. I'm overall average for the week. I'm probably somewhere in that 100 to 120 grams of protein. So that's one of the things. The other lifestyle goal for me was that I was shooting for 10,000 steps a day or more, but that was my goal. And then in terms of sleep, which is the other lifestyle, I protect my sleep like it's no one's business. Like it has become one of the most important things in my life because I know, even thinking back in my history, when I've had a really bad night of sleep, the next day my appetite would soar. I would be so hungry and I'd eat something and it still wouldn't make me feel full. I was just hungry like all day long. So I know how important sleep is for regulating appetite and satiety signaling and energy and just being able to implement everything and making the right decisions. I know when I get a really bad night of sleep, I tend to not make the greatest decisions either. So I really protect my sleep. And these habits keep me grounded even if the scale wasn't moving during my weight loss phase. So layering all of these really gave me other ways to win. Even when the weight stalled out or plateaued, I could still celebrate new muscle definition, strength gains, and consistent sleep. So let's now talk about long-term versus short-term goals. You need both. Short-term goal for me was hitting goal weight before my twins were graduating from college in May of 2023. So that was a goal that I had set for myself. And I tightened up my nutrition. I stayed really consistent with my workouts. And I really wanted to make that happen. And I had this vision in my mind of me being at their graduation, in my dress, my new dress, in a new size, just looking amazing, feeling amazing, and really like knowing that I hit my goal weight by that time. So that milestone gave me the motivation and the pride that just continued to fuel my journey. And then another goal that I had, and that was more of I'm going to call that a medium goal actually, because it wasn't really super short term, but it also wasn't like super long term. It was sort of my medium goal. My long-term goal, long term, I'm really looking at my future, my health span, my longevity. I'm 54 now, and I envision myself as I age, I want to get stronger. I want to get to the point where I can stay lean and stay strong and reverse the insulin resistance that I had, which I think at this point I have, but I want to make sure that sticks. And I never want to go backwards. I never want to go back to battling the cravings and the appetite craziness that I had and the food noise. And I want to stay super healthy and be that older person where people are going, wow, you're 70, you're 80, you don't look like it, you don't move like it. I want to be that person. I want to be someone that the younger people can look up to and know that you don't have to age terribly, you can age amazingly. So here's kind of how I broke down the math when I was losing weight to get to that, 50-pound weight loss. I was losing probably between like a pound or two a week. Sometimes it was less, certainly. Sometimes it was half a pound. Sometimes it was nothing. Sometimes it was 3. But I was generally on average somewhere in that, 1 to 2. And I was able to put the timeline into place to get to that goal weight. And that's exactly how I chipped away little by little by little to get to that 50-pound weight loss. So the reality of the weight loss journey, it's not linear. It definitely was not linear. I wish it was. I wish it was just every day you're getting better and better and that line just keeps going down. If you take a big picture yeah, the line will go down, but there's, you know, the little pictures, it'll be that little blip going up and whatnot. I mean, initially I lost weight pretty fast. The first few weeks were like, this is pretty easy, but it definitely slowed down. I hit a plateau. I was plateaued for 4 months. Like I get all of that. It's frustrating, especially when you're close to goal. When you are within 10, 20 pounds of goal weight, it can be a challenge. Those last 10 pounds for me took almost as long as the first 40. And, you know, life happens. Like life is gonna life, right? Vacations, holidays, challenges, stress, family stress, work stress, like stuff happens. It's gonna have blips in there. So that needs to be incorporated, you know, in terms of where you're going in the direction. But here's the difference when you have goals. I never completely drifted away from my goals. I never went completely backwards and started over again. Did I take a step back at times? Absolutely. But then I would take another step or two forward. So I was always getting forward motion. I was always seeing some sort of progress. I might have slowed down, I might have hit a plateau, but at the same time, I knew exactly what I needed to do to make it work to keep moving it forward. So here's how to set healthy, flexible goals. What do you do? Well, this is where SMART goals have come in. I'm sure you probably heard of that maybe in the workplace, right? SMART, SMART goals. That stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So when I started, I didn't just say, oh, I want to lose weight. I set a SMART goal. I said, I want to lose 15 pounds in the next 3 months. And I'm going to start tracking my food daily. I'm going to hit my protein goal. I'm going to do a minimum of 4 strength workouts a week. And then from a lifestyle perspective, I am going to be in bed by 9:30 p.m. for the next 30 days. And I'm going to shoot for 7-8 hours of sleep. Protein wise, I'm going to hit that protein of 100, 110, 120 grams of protein every day for the next 4 weeks. I'm going to log everything into my Fitness Pal. I'm going to stay consistent with doing that. My other goal was, and to me this was a no-brainer, but I know this is sometimes difficult for some people, I'm going to take my GLP-1 shot consistently every week. Not going to miss it. And I'm going to put a reminder in my phone with an alarm so that every week I am going to make sure that I take my shot every single week so I don't miss it, because that is a tool that goes with all of these things that's going to help me to stay consistent. And then from a fitness perspective, I was going to work towards getting that pull-up and then getting more pull-ups after that by strength training, my grip strength, by doing it. I decided I wanted to do it every day. I would set aside 5 or 10 minutes every single day to work on getting a pull-up, getting more pull-ups, working on my grip strength, working on all the surrounding muscles to get there. So I set that goal and I was going to do it every day until I got to a point where I could start doing more pull-ups and then doing sets. So these weren't vague. These were very crystal clear. That clarity gave me accountability. So when you make a SMART goal, you need to take away all the loopholes. You know exactly what success looks like. You know how to measure it. You know what needs to happen. So you're not hiding behind someday I'll get there, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 4 years from now. That's gone, right? Now you're tracking forward or you're not. And this is so important because it requires that you're honest with yourself, and it builds momentum and it builds trust in yourself. So what is one SMART goal that you could set this month? Drop it in the comments. It could be anything about sleep, protein, getting in your steps. It could be losing weight, it could be scale weight in terms of how much you want to lose. But here's the truth. Goals are not punishment, right? And they're not something to obsess about. It's structure, right? It is structure that gives you direction, clarity, and it's a way to measure your progress. And then you can congratulate yourself and be proud of where you're going and how far you're getting there. When I finally committed to setting goals and very specific ones with timelines, it was exciting. And I was able to then figure out a way in small measurable steps to get to the long goal of 50 pounds, because for me, that felt really overwhelming in the beginning. And now with those goals and then resetting goals for maintenance goals, I've been able to keep it off for over 2.5 years. And I don't feel restricted at all. I feel free. This is freedom. So now I want to hear from you. What are your goals? What are your lifestyle goals? What are your fitness goals? What are your body composition goals? What are your fears? Why have you been avoiding setting goals? Be like really, really truthful. There's a reason why you avoid setting goals. I mean, when you're in the workplace, they make you set goals for work, right? Because that's how they measure you and give you your performance ratings and all that stuff. So if you have to set goals for work, you might as well set them for your life as well. And again, you can be flexible, but having that framework is so important. So what's keeping you from setting a goal? Fears, anxieties, past traumas. Definitely want to hear from you. Leave it in the comments. Your comment may help someone else. And I think that is so important in keeping this community together and solid. If you're looking for additional support, please go ahead and join my private Facebook group over at Juls Wellness Warrior. We can help support each other even more over there. And remember, you're not going to drift your way into success. Set your goals, you show up, and you will get there. So let me hear from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Stay strong.